Hello, my name is Kalina Grant. I'm a senior at Bloomsburg University, and I'm doing a presentation on death penalty in Asian countries. First, I'll be discussing what the death penalty is. The death penalty is a state-sanctioned practice of killing a person for committing a crime. The death penalty is seen as a way to deter citizens from committing crimes and keeping the population safe by many countries. In many countries, the death penalty is also seen as a controversy. I will touch a bit about that. First, there is no international law that prohibits the death penalty. Most countries consider it a violation of human rights, but there are still many who use the death penalty. For countries that oppose the death penalty, they equate it to murder. The reasoning behind that is because it doesn't solve anything or deter citizens from committing crimes. In 2020, when the United Nations had a vote for a resolution for opposing the death penalty, there were 11 Asian Pacific countries that voted against it. China, India, Japan, North Korea, Pakistan, Singapore, and Afghanistan were some of the ones who voted against it. First country I will be discussing is China. In China, the death penalty is used quite often. They execute over 1,000 people a year. They execute more people than every country combined. That is why they are considered the executor of the globe. They only use two methods to execute criminals. The first one is lethal injection, and the second is shooting. Though shooting executions were discontinued in 2010 because they considered lethal injection to be more humane. There's no exact number of how many people China has executed because it's considered a state secret. Also, many prisoners don't linger on death row. They are either executed after about 2 months, or they get a suspended sentence for 2 years, which either after that they are executed or their sentence is commuted. There are many crimes that people could be given a death penalty for in China, including capital offenses. The only exceptions of who can be executed are people under the age of 18 at the time of their crime, pregnant people, the mentally ill, and the elderly. The next country I will be discussing is South Korea. In South Korea, there are only about 60 prisoners currently on death row, and their most recent execution was 1997. Like China, they only have two methods for execution: hanging, which is used for prisoners who were convicted of non-military offenses, and shooting, which is used for prisoners who were convicted of military offenses. South Korea is also considered to be a de facto memorandum country ever since February 1998, when the president at that time took office. He was also a former death row inmate, so he opposed the death penalty. The last country I will be discussing is Japan. In Japan, they have only executed 6 inmates from the years 2019 to 2021. In addition to that, they were killers that either killed multiple times or it was a very severe kill. Executions are carried out through hanging, and the date of the execution is kept a secret from everyone, including the prisoner. In the last decade, the only people to be executed in Japan, they were convicted of murder. There are exceptions to who can be executed, just like China. It's people under 18 at the age of their crime, pregnant people, the mentally ill, and intellectually disabled people. With those 3 countries in mind, I'm now going to compare them. They have a vastly different view on the death penalty. As seen, China uses it quite frequently. South Korea doesn't use it pretty much at all, and Japan uses it to some extent, but rarely still. And if you take China out of the equation when considering most Asian countries or even just the Asian Pacific countries, you'll get that most of those countries don't actually use their death penalty. They are all, or majority of them, retentionists, but they don't actually execute anymore. Thank you for listening to me talk about the death penalty in Asian countries.